All right, let's add a timer loose condition. So go ahead and select your score text here, and let me see. Also, kind of align it to the right, so it's all no, because I want to give myself a little bit of space now that I think about it to put the. Well, let's see how that looks actually. I'm gonna press play. Yeah, it's okay. It's snapping to the right now, which is nice. All right, let's go ahead and duplicate that. And what I'm gonna do with this is this will be my timer. So I'm gonna change this score text to timer text. And all we'll do is like a countdown timer. We'll use like time.delta time for this. Now for the timer text, because it says coins in here, I'm just going to do like 00 here. Make sure my number lock is on. There we go. And then I'm going to click in here and I'm going to hold Control and Alt and I'm going to snap that one to the left corner. It's kind of weird that, let's see. Oh, because it's on the very edge of the box here. So what I want to do with this one maybe, yeah, we could snap it all the way to the left. Let's go ahead and do that. Maybe middle of that box. What I'm doing is this is like the orientation here. And you can make it lower and middle. It's kind of nice. But let's do upper side like that. That's pretty cool. Hope you guys are really enjoying this. And I hope you can sell your game and make millions of dollars. All right, so we're going to make a new script. And we're not going to call this time manager. We're going to call this game manager. Because this is going to manage the overall functionality of our game. And then what you generally want to do is create a game manager game object. So I'm going to hit Control D on the score manager here. And I'm going to rename that game manager. And I'm going to remove this script. And I'm going to add a score manager here. Now you can see there's score text here, and that's not what I want. So I'm going to remove this component. And I'm going to add my game manager script, which is here. Now game managers are important. They're so important that they even have their own icon. See that little cog? So Unity knows by naming the script game manager that this is going to have some special functionality. So let's drag this inside of here too. And let's close these other ones out until we need them to kind of give us some space. Actually, you know what? We could just make this one managers. I don't know why we need a separate game manager object. And this is where we can put all of our managers, our score manager, as well as our game manager. That'd be kind of cool. And so that kind of cleans up our scene a little bit so we're not, it doesn't keep exponentially growing and getting fatter. So let's write this code out. I don't know in Visual Studio if it does it for you, but if I create if I just start typing out tmp text underscore text, it automatically adds the using directive up top. I'm not sure if Visual Studio does that for me. And then we're going to call this time text. Save that, and then go back into our managers here. This is the reason why I keep jumping over right away to do this is because I will forget. You probably see me do that in previous lessons. So we have our timer text already in there. And then let me get rid of this line. We already know what that does. And we'll do another serialized field of type float. And this will be like our start time. And then let's copy this again. You don't have to make this a serialized field, but we'll do time left here. And this, I just leave it so you can watch it count down inside the viewer, like here. So you have start time and time left. For start time, we'll make this like 5. And in here, just to make sure that it's set ahead of time, we'll make that 5F. In time and start, we'll just say, hey, time left equals our start time. So right in the very beginning here, if I press start and I press play, you'll see, watch our time left variable here. So right when the game starts, this should update to 5. There you go, it updated to 5. Now, if we want to subtract time from time left in update, we can just do time left minus equals, right? Time.delta time. So remember, this is the same thing as saying time left equals time left minus time.delta time. And if you recall, time.delta time is just essentially kind of like the time between frames. So if I update this and I save it and I press play, if you look over here under time left, you should see that it's counting down, right? And so if I want to see it inside of here, remember, we have to grab our time text string. We should say time.text.text equals time left. But the problem is this is a numerical value and we want it represented in character format. So we do toString. And now when we look in our left-hand corner here, you should see our timer counting down. It looks kind of cool. It looks like now we're in negative. So, we're going to have to build it out so that once it hits 0 or something, we end our game. So I want to show you something too. They're called overloads. I'm going to show you in a second. Do you see how we have all of these additional decimal places? I don't think we need all of those. So if I hold Control, Shift, and Space inside of here, you can see that it shows me all the different overloads, right? Like it says, returns a string with no parameters. I can also so that's what this little space here is. I think you can go to Microsoft's documentation. So, and they'll tell you what all of these are, but you can see if you want it to be look like general, currency, custom. If you see it says fixed point, and then it'll do 1, 2, 3.4, that'll only give you 1. If I want to do 2 spaces, I could just put an F. So let's say I put in just an F in there, and I hit Control S, and I press play. You can see that it's going to give me 2 decimal points after. It's just a way of formatting that string value. So there's those two, which again might be cool, but honestly, I think I want to. I sort of want to put that in the middle. It's way too to the left. Maybe something like that might be a better time. Even in the middle of the screen might be cool because a lot of games have the timer in the middle. But I just want to clear this up so there's not a lot of stuff. Maybe it's fine. I don't know. I'll let you guys fiddle with that. Anyway, so I'm going to do F1 because that'll give me 1 decimal place, and I think that looks cool. I mean, really do whatever you like for the formatting is fine. So it looks more like an actual timer, a countdown timer. Let's do one more thing. I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate this, and we're going to call this game over text. And I'm going to click in here, hold Control and Alt. I'm going to snap that to the middle. Make sure it's all the pivots there. Make sure that the text is in the center. And I'm just going to write game over. I'll make that a little bit bigger. Like that. If you want to make it even bigger than that, you can adjust the size, but that's fine. I also click this small caps button. That makes this big cap and then these little small caps. It makes it look cooler, I guess. I don't have any extra fonts, but if you want to get some, you can. All right, let's duplicate this and say game over text. And then the thing is with a TMP text, I want to actually access this set active so I could turn it off in my scene. So instead of a TMP text, I'm just going to make it a game object because that is a game object. So I'm going to save that and then select my managers. And then here's game over text. And I'm going to grab that game over text and just drop it inside of there. Save that, save this. And then what we want to do is when our timer hits a certain amount, we want to initiate time, stop the game and essentially put game over. I would say go ahead and give that a shot. See if you can figure that out, but just pause the video at this point. But you're just going to use an if statement. Time left, if it's less than or equal to 0. And again, I don't like to hard code these values. Normally I'll make a variable for that, but for this, it's fine. What we'll do is we'll create a game over method. And I'm going to hit Control and period on this because it's going to give me an error because it doesn't exist. And I want to create the method game over. And then inside of here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this game over text game object to active. Let's test that. But there's going to be an obvious problem. I'll still be able to play the game. See that? So let's fix that up as well. Actually, what's kind of cool is we can add a, so we can do time dot time scale, and it'll do like, you know, in the movies how like they're walking away from an explosion and it's got the cool slowdown effect. Well, this will take everything in our entire game down to 0.1, which is like 1/10 of a, like the, if you're looking at it from 1 to 100, you know, 1 being 100. So this is like 1%. So like you can see here, once our timer runs out, even at that, it takes the entire game down. See how slow? He's like slow motion. The game is over. So the whole game. So that's kind of a neat little trick. You might even want to comment that like slows game down, because it adds such a cool, slows game down. It adds such a cool feature that like you could use it for your other projects. I like to use it for stuff to really accentuate, you know, like you'll actually see it in like Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead or something like that. When the person dies and the character's falling, they slow down the entire game. Something else I noticed is when that time ran out, actually, the game objects like the cake and stuff. See our cake here? It runs very. See how it's like tick 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 tick. It's so the way to fix that, you know, it's like kind of it looks like it's almost missing frames. And the reason for that is because of the way our time, like if you want to know where this is being affected, if you go to edit project settings here and you look at your time parameter here, we're adjusting this value here, time scale. So fixed time step is that time between frames. So you could set this very low, or just go to our base prefab here, base obstacle, and just make sure that it is set to, in the rigid body here, instead of none, interpolate, and that'll give us a smoother result. Because this is the base object, it'll automatically update it for all the variants. So let's go ahead and save that, and that should give us a much smoother result. Let's see. Hopefully a piece of cake pops up in our scene right away. There we go. Or there's our donut. And you see how smooth that is? Nice and smooth. It's not all jaggedy. So just a quick fix. All right, so this is the, again, there's going to be more videos after this, but this is going to be your last video to satisfy the assignment. Really, for some of you, I'm going to accept this as the last video, but overall, moving forward, again, go back in if you really want to make it beautiful and just knock out the rest of the videos I'm going to make. But what I'd like to do is, remember our characters moving around. So I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to do player controller, and then we'll name this player controller. And what we're going to do is just disable this player controller so our player can't play anymore. So let's save that. In our game manager, when the time hits a specific time, right? So when the time hits 0 here, we're going to grab that player controller game object from our character and disable that so we can't move around our scene. So let's duplicate. Actually, we do player controller dot enabled equals false. And let's go back into our game manager here. Managers, and it's looking for what has the player controller here. Well, our rudder does, right? So now when I press play, that'll disable our player moving around. Once time runs out, I know you can't see this, but I can no longer, I'm like clicking the keys, I can no longer move my character. It's frozen in game over land. And as for the timer, because it keeps going into the negative, let's go ahead and make a Boolean. This is like just equals true or false. We'll call this game over. Save that. And let's set this to false because the game is not over when it's first set. And then what we'll do is, once game over is called, we'll say game over equals true. And that way we can jump out of this update method. So if we say if game over is true, which means we did hit that game over, will return. And what this is going to do is this is going to, because all we're doing inside of this, we can actually get rid of these. We don't need them. Yeah. So what's happening here, and really we should just extract all of this out into a timer function. You know, like do something like this, and then control period, extract method, and name it timer. And what happens is now update is always calling timer. It's just cleaner code instead of having this in update. And if game over is true, we return out of this method, and you know we don't it's no longer counting down. So let's press play and see how that works. Because remember, if it's less than or equal to 0, we call game over here. You can see now we're stuck at 0. I can't move, and it says game over. All right, that's it. Now I mentioned if you, because of the timing of the trimester semester, if you can stop here and I'll accept it. But if you really truly want to make a great game and really dive deep into this, you can continue on here into the other videos that are coming next.